The U.S. and China appear to be excited about the progress they're making on trade.
What if I told you America's greatest strength, the genius behind Google, Tesla, and Harvard, was never really American at all, and now China is reclaiming it, piece by piece? For decades, the U.S. thrived by attracting the world's smartest minds, especially from China. These minds powered innovation, created billion-dollar companies, and built the future. But now, that pipeline is cracking. As the U.S. turns inward, China is stepping forward. And what happens when the brainpower that built America stops showing up?
This week, America celebrates Education Week. Across our country, there are great teachers, educators.
Let's get something straight. The American school system is a global punchline. U.S. students rank embarrassingly low in math, science, and reading. If the education system were a company, it would have been bankrupt decades ago. Universities like MIT, Stanford, and Caltech still dominate scientific breakthroughs. How? Well, here's the twist. The system survives not because of homegrown genius, but because of imported brilliance. It's international students, especially from countries like China, who fill research labs, write award-winning papers, and invent world-changing tech. The irony: a crumbling education system still sits at the top of global science, all thanks to the very people America barely accepts but desperately needs.
We got a battle brewing across Washington and Wall Street when it comes to immigration, particularly on immigration's impact on Silicon Valley.
This isn't just about schools. It's about who builds the future. Enter the H-1B visa, America's real secret weapon. Often called the Genius Visa, it brings in the best minds from across the globe. Half of all U.S. PhD students are foreign-born. In top labs, it's more like everyone. These students become engineers at Google, researchers at NASA, and founders of billion-dollar startups. Without them, the economy crashes. Period. Think that's dramatic? Here's what experts say. You remove the H-1B visa, and you collapse the economy. This visa doesn't just help foreign students. It's the backbone of U.S. industry. And yet, every new policy seems more like a knife to its throat, because guess who's waiting to welcome them with open arms? China. Then came the gut punch. In a shocking move, the Trump administration banned international students from enrolling at Harvard. Yes, Harvard. Over 6,000 students, many of them Chinese, were told to leave or transfer immediately. The reason? Officials claimed the university was linked to the Chinese Communist Party, spreading unrest and even anti-Semitism. Whether that claim holds water or not, the impact was instant. Students panicked, professors revolted, universities sued. The global academic world erupted. A federal judge stepped in to temporarily block the ban, but the damage was done. It wasn't just about Harvard anymore. It was about a message. You're not welcome here. And here's the twist. While the U.S. was kicking out future Nobel winners and entrepreneurs, China started rolling out red carpets. The result? A slow, quiet brain drain. America had spent decades attracting the world's top talent, and with one signature, started driving them away. Let's zoom in. Behind every visa policy and government memo, there's a real person caught in the mess. Meet Zelin Ma, a Chinese PhD student who spent 10 years in the U.S. studying humanitarian research at Harvard. 10 years of life, classrooms, community, contribution, gone up in smoke with one policy shift. He wasn't a threat. He wasn't political. He was here to help people. When the news hit, his reaction said it all. I don't know what to say. It's a shame. That wasn't just disappointment. It was heartbreak. For people like Zelin, the American dream was real. Until it wasn't. And now, he, and thousands like him, are rethinking everything. Because when a country makes you feel like a pawn, you stop seeing it as home. Harvard didn't stay quiet. Cornell William Brooks, a professor and former NAACP head, ripped into the policy, calling it xenophobic, unfounded, and un-American. He wasn't alone. Across campuses, experts lined up to call it what it was: fear-based politics that targeted the very people fueling U.S. progress. Let's be clear, 27% of Harvard's student body is international. These aren't freeloaders. They're scholars, scientists, and innovators. But overnight, They were treated like intellectual exiles. Harvard's labs? Half empty. It's a global network? Fractured. Brooks summed it up best: unwise, illegal, and damaging. The message was loud and clear. America wasn't just closing borders, it was closing minds. And in a knowledge economy, that's suicide. Now let's talk dollars, because this isn't just a moral failure, it's economic sabotage. Want to know how valuable international students are? Just follow the money. 1 in every 4 US unicorn startups, that's billion-dollar companies, was co-founded by someone who came here on a student visa. Or Moderna, probably started by a kid whose first stop in America was a dorm room. More than 378,000 US jobs are tied to startups founded by former international students. That's not just theory, that's your economy. And let's bust a myth while we're at it. These students don't drain resources. 65% pay full tuition out of pocket, while most Americans get financial aid. That money keeps universities running, research funded, and entire towns alive. So when the government chokes the visa pipeline, it's not protecting America. It's undercutting its biggest competitive edge. Smart people with ideas and no plan B. If innovation is the engine of America, this is pulling the plug. Here's where the tables turn. For decades, the US was the magnet, pulling in the brightest minds from across the globe. But now, that magnet is reversing polarity. Top Chinese scientists, researchers, and entrepreneurs are going back home, not because they failed here, but because China is rolling out the red carpet. With billions funneled into R&D, research labs rivaling MIT, and total government backing, China isn't asking them to return, they're recruiting them. And these aren't average students. They're the ones who once filled Harvard labs and Silicon Valley think tanks. Now they're building Silicon Valleys in Shenzhen, Hangzhou, and Beijing. As one expert put it, the brains are going back. It's not just talent migration, it's strategic redirection. America once educated these minds. Now they're becoming its competitors. And guess who's funding their breakthroughs now? Not Uncle Sam. Think China's still the underdog in education? Think again. According to the 2024 Nature Index, 8 of the top 10 global academic institutions are now based in China. Harvard? It's dropping with a 3.1% decline. Meanwhile, Chinese institutions like the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Peking University, and USTC are growing by 5 to 9% annually. That's not catching up. That's lapping the competition. And while American policies choke the flow of international talent, China's throwing open the gates. Scholarships, facilities, full funding, you name it. They're not just building schools, they're building ecosystems for innovation. Let's not forget, scientific dominance builds economic power. And right now, China is winning the race on both fronts. So while America closes labs and cuts off visas, China is out-publishing, out-patenting, and outsmarting the old guard. The question isn't if China will lead, it's whether the US will even stay in the game. Education doesn't just end with a diploma, it shapes the future power structure. Today's international students are tomorrow's CEOs, diplomats, tech moguls, and policymakers. Need proof? A Chinese Harvard alum helped negotiate Trump's Phase 1 trade deal. That's influence built in a lecture hall, leveraged on the global stage. So when the US breaks the pipeline, it's not just losing students, it's losing future allies, collaborators, and cultural bridges. China, on the other hand, is flipping the script. Now it's educating its elite at home, on its terms, in its language, under its rules. And with that comes control over tech standards, supply chains, innovation priorities, and soft power. As one Harvard scholar said it best, that openness, not isolation, is what made America the envy of the world. But now, the door's closing, and the world, it's already walking past it.
The United States is still imposing tariffs on China, and China is firmly opposed to such bullying.
This was supposed to be about national security, about protecting American interests from foreign threats. But instead, it's turned into a gift-wrapped win for Beijing. By cutting off international students and researchers, the US hasn't secured its future, it's weakened it. Top universities are losing global talent. Startups are losing the minds behind their next big ideas. Entire industries are being hollowed out from within. And here's the kicker. Other countries are stepping in. Canada, Germany, and Australia. They're all welcoming the very students America is pushing away. The global competition for brains is fierce, and the US is handing them over voluntarily. This isn't just a loss, it's a self-inflicted wound. A policy win that's turning into a long-term strategic disaster. As one expert said, in the name of national security, Trump handed Beijing exactly what it wants. And now, instead of outcompeting China, the US might just be outmaneuvering itself by its design. The 21st century battlefield isn't just about missiles, it's about minds. And right now, America is sending its best minds away, while China opens the door wide. Like, share, and subscribe if you think the real war isn't being fought with weapons, but with ideas. Will America wake up in time?